Welcome to Ideas with Impact podcast. I am your host, Alexandra. Today, we had the pleasure of introducing Kerry Ford, who is the CEO and founder of Elevate with Kerry. She is an international motivational speaker, author, and an event host. She has spoken alongside 50 other top industry experts, neuroscientists, doctors, and authors in the personal development industry. With advanced training as a behavior change specialist and trauma and somatic practitioner, she was awarded by the IFAH as one of the top 100 global visionaries in 2023, a CEO with the best women's personal development platform. Kerry's mission is to help the modern day woman live a life she loves through transformational practices and holistic modalities by achieving what Kerry calls somatic success. Let's get started.
Hello, Kerry. Welcome to Ideas with Impact podcast.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you. I really appreciate you coming on and saying yes to be on my show. I appreciate you and I appreciate everything that you do. It's very inspiring.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
You're welcome. Thank you. So, Kerry, can you share your journey with us and what really inspired you to start your business, Elevate with Kerry?
Oh, man. Starting with the loaded question. Man, I tried corporate for many years on and off. And honestly, I feel like this chose me. Coaching is my calling. There's a lot of people that kind of try it out, but I'm in it for the long haul. I have found my way back to it 3 different times over the course of a decade plus. And it's a path that, it's been hard to be an entrepreneur. It's been challenging. I have felt like I'm swimming upstream in many ways, but I knew that I've had a big mission on my heart to help a lot of people.
Yeah, it's definitely a calling. It's not for everybody, right?
Absolutely.
So could you tell us more about the concept of emotional intelligence and its importance in personal or professional development? Like how do you do that? How do you help women or entrepreneurs in general?
Yeah. So I work with female founders, executives, entrepreneurs. These are women that have a lot of stress in their life. And when stress goes up, our intelligence goes down, right? So we have to manage our stress at higher levels so that we can continue to stay in what I call the 1% zone, where we can make elevated decisions, high level decisions. We can handle conflict resolution well. We can lead our team, especially where at the top there's more to lose because you have people that are reporting to you. Maybe you have people's incomes that you're responsible for. Maybe you have a few houses and a big financial, responsibility. Perhaps you have, you're the breadwinner in your household. So there's a lot of things at the top where the stakes are higher. And not only that, but the relational dynamics, right? Even with your partner or in motherhood or again with your team, if you can have emotional intelligence or a certain level of understanding around all of that, you will be a master at communication. And a master at communication is also a master of their reality.
Yeah. This is, I think this is a lot of where people have a hard time expressing themselves. You know, you're a business person, let's say you're a businesswoman because the show is about women, and we get stuck in that phase of how do we get out of that? So how do you incorporate that unstuckness, I guess I could say it?
Yeah, meaning like an inability to communicate or connect to how you feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one because everybody has a different starting place. For someone to come in and say, well, just get in your body. Some women, they don't know what that means. They don't know how to do that. They don't know what that means. They don't even know where to start, especially if trauma has occurred in the body, right? Or as a result of their physical body. And so the last place they actually feel safe to drop in and be connected to is the body. They want to be anywhere but in the body, right? So it's first learning, where is the starting place here? What is their next step would be, where is their capacity to even feel anything? A lot of the time we might start somatic work, which is working at the level of the nervous system, the work that I do with women in leadership. And they might say, I don't feel anything. Okay, feeling nothing is still a feeling. Let's start there. And so that often is a very common starting place, and they think something's wrong with them, but it's just a starting place. It's just a beginning. So we have to figure out, what is their capacity as well. And from there, we can potentially expound upon it and build. But that's where the safety in their body starts.
So how do you incorporate the somatic strategies into your coaching programs, for example?
Yeah, so we have an anxious achiever archetype that we work with. There are 8 different archetypes in that work with the 4 stress responses in the body: fight, flight, fawn, and freeze, although fawn technically can be, freeze or flight. So we break that out into archetypes, and it's based on behavioral patterns that we witness and see as it's applied to leadership. And I like to call what I do applied somatics. So it's great to have the educational component of the nervous system, of emotional intelligence, and of understanding like what that means. But then why do we give a shit? How does this affect you? How does it show up in leadership? And what does it cost you if you aren't leading from the space of understanding your nervous system and knowing the fluency and the language of the body? It can often dictate the way you're making decisions, right? From anxiety, for example. Are you making a high level decision, or are you just making a decision out of reactivity? Right? How are you leading your team? Are you going through hiring and firing cycles when really we find out that the common denominator is you as the leader? So those are all things, and those are examples that we take a look at, and how I apply somatic work to leadership and to women that just have, again, different stressors, different missions, and different requirements, really, in terms of how this is applied to their life and their leadership.
Yeah. And so what are the benefits, for example, for individual to expect from these practices?
Yeah, more connected to themselves. They might have more clarity on who they are. I mean, it's somewhat surprising to me, and also not surprising, but many women come to me that have these high level jobs, everything on paper, and they're like, but I don't know who I am. So then suddenly they feel connected and clear. They know what they want. They know what they don't want. They're able to communicate better. What you asked about earlier, in relationship, desires, wants, needs, a request for support. So many things. They amplify their impact. They might end up making more money. That's commonly a thing that we see in terms of results. So the direct ROI, isn't always there in terms of financial gain, but there's always a direct ROI in terms of peace and calm and connectivity.
So what are the specific challenges that these women entrepreneurs face in today's world?
Yeah.
The stress, running $1 million companies, families, and everything's going on. What are the biggest challenges these women are facing?
Yeah, I see this across the board, whether they're an executive that works for somebody else in leadership or they're an entrepreneur. But, there is a lot of current challenges in the landscape of leadership in 2024. One is technology. Technology is moving at a fast, rapid rate, which is amazing and also makes us more accessible than ever. So our boundaries have become much weaker and our accessibility has gone up. So what happens there is we see people being tired, burned out, tapped out, touched out, overly connected, and yet not really connected. Right. So it's twofold. They're accessible through all of these social media platforms via email, no real snow days. They're constantly on their phone, even on vacation, they're not unplugged. So that's one of the issues. And the other one is just, social media trends and everything moving so fast.
Yeah.
It's
you're
just
right.
it's a wild landscape out there, and it
It's like,
really
how do
is.
you adjust to that, right? And how do
Yeah.
you prioritize everything that comes? Yeah.
Well, they
Yeah.
need better boundaries, better energetic boundaries, right? More calendar integrity, maybe even tech time, because you can't be plugged in all the time. It's going to wear on
No.
your nervous system. And
Yeah.
then that brings
Yeah.
me, yeah. And then that brings me to the next point, which is that what I'm calling global exposure trauma. Now we know every tornado that happens every day. We know all these cluster events that happen, right? And it's scary. The world is still in uncertainty. And also, no one's really talking about the post-COVID hangover and what's
Right.
happened with nervous systems that are still dysregulated. People are still uncertain. Things that felt stable and safe, like school systems, went out the window. Everything went online. Everything that wasn't is now. And so,
Yeah.
again, more accessibility, but it leads to a lack of an ability to be more unplugged and truly present with people, physical people, families, right?
Yeah, I hear you, because even as myself, I have, so during COVID, like we weren't working, we weren't doing much, we were at home, and I find myself constantly being on my phone. And I literally had to tell myself consciously or subconsciously, I had to tell myself every day, and it was a struggle for a little bit, be like, you know what, stop that. Stop getting up first thing in the morning and getting on your phone and scroll through things, and it was a process for me, but I finally reached that point where now I get up in the morning, I do my breath work, I do my meditation, and then I deal with my children. They send them to school. I do all my stuff, do my gym, and then I come in and I focus on my day.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I literally had to retrain myself, and it took a while. It took, I want to say, a year. I know it's a long
Wow.
time, but it took a while. I had this war going back and forth with me. Oh
Mm.
my goodness, it was
Yeah, it's a
yeah,
challenge, right?
it's
And
a
that can
challenge.
tap out your energy. It can create distractions. It can take you away from the task at hand, right? With better
Mhm.
focus and more vision. So that's definitely a challenge in leadership. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, what role do you believe emotional intelligence plays in achieving whole body high performance?
Mm. I mean, if you are clear minded and you are focused on whatever that vision is, it's
Hmm.
going to help you really stay on task and not get thrown off when things don't go right. Part of being able to stay regulated is staying regulated even when it looks like you don't have proof with your eyes that your vision is about to play out, right? It's not just in relationship to other people, it's in relationship to your vision too. So if you can stay focused on what that vantage point is and know that once you've decided that this is where you're headed and everything else starts to rearrange and you don't lose your footing in that, because most people will,
Hmm.
right? You still stay calm, connected, and regulated in that space. You're likely going to reach that apex. You're likely going to reach that vision versus most people, they get thrown off, they get thrown out of the game, and they get overwhelmed because things don't appear to be going right or well. So you just have to stay really focused on what
Is
that
it
vantage
is this
point is.
because of someone mindset is not set up properly, or because of their traumas that they went through? They think that they can do this, but then they
Yeah,
having a setback.
sure. It's kind of two different things, right? The
Hmm.
level of the mind is only what we're really cognitively aware of. That's
Hmm.
top down processing. If we're talking about trauma, it's really in the body. That's what's
Hmm.
subconsciously driving behavior, and that's bottom up processing. So it's almost two different things, but the body will dictate a lot of those beliefs.
Hmm.
And if you believe it to be true, it will be so. So it's both and. Um, you can rewire neural pathways, you can rewire your nervous system to help you with those things. It's hard to know, like, where is somebody in that, right? Like, if they're approaching an upper level limit, something they've never accomplished before, but it feels stretchy and uncomfortable to them, well, that's something to take a look at in their nervous system, for sure, because you don't want them to sabotage things. So really, it just depends on the person, I would say.
Hmm. And do you guide people through this process, for example, when they're starting off and they don't know how to get to that point?
I don't work with beginners necessarily. I tend to work with women that have some level of risk tolerance already. They've been
Mm.
through probably cycles of of failure, trial and error. They've been through a certain level of resiliency training, if you will. So I don't work with the beginners that are just starting out, that are trying to hire their first coach and they're trying to do their first big thing. I tend to work with the women that have done many big things, but they're ready for the next big thing. And they still have upper level limits. I mean, it doesn't really matter how much success you've had on paper. The women I work with still have upper level limits. We all do, because we've never been here before, wherever here is.
Right. So it's like, how do you get to the next point?
Yeah. And now they have different challenges, right? Someone who's just starting out, let's use an entrepreneur, for example, they're a solopreneur. They're just trying to build up a, confidence in themselves. Like, I can do it. Can I do it? I can do it. Yes. And, you kind of oscillate. Then you get to the next phase, which is maybe you have some team members. Now you're responsible for their income. It's not just now you can do it. You actually have a business and systems and things you have to implement and run. You've got team members and issues within the team and specialized roles or not. So there's a lot of things going on, and every evolution requires a different version of you.
Right. It's like stepping in, again, like you said, stepping into that new version of you. It's like, how do you move forward, right? Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. So is it important to heal yourself first, to really become happy in whatever you do?
I think you can do that while you're in the journey. I don't think you have to heal and wait for whatever the thing is to arrive. I don't think you have to be perfectly healed in order to manifest your dream partner. I don't think you have to be perfectly healed in order to manifest your next quantum leap in money. You can heal while you're in pursuit of that, while you're on the journey. It's both.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Healing is so important, though, throughout whole our journey, in every step of our life.
Yeah. I like to call it housekeeping, right? Like if you are doing the weekly maintenance, then you don't get the dust buildup in the corners. You don't have the, oh shit, I need help moments, because along the way, you're doing the work.
Right.
While you're in it. And that's really where the juice is, to be honest with you, because then you're present with it and you can move through it faster.
What advice would you give to female entrepreneur or individuals looking to enhance their emotional intelligence?
Honestly, it's going to sound biased, but somatic work for me has been such a game changer in understanding the language of my body. Where someone says something and that's not at all how they meant it, but that's how your body interprets it. So what's the truth? Well, my experience in my body is valid, and it's not actually the truth based on what's currently going on in that current situation. Right? It's not actually true in the present moment. So how do we dance with that? Being able to master duality, dual awareness is part of emotional intelligence, right? I can have this experience in my body and also understand that's not what you meant when you said that.
Right.
It's both. So, starting to understand what that even means, what I'm even saying, right? What that means in your body, how it feels. So, it kind of goes back to the question before, which is when you're stuck, how do you start feeling things? Well, let's just start with, what do you feel? Do you feel anything? What sensations are alive? Where is that in your body? And then from there, we can build upon that. Also, journaling, I don't want to say it's an emotionally intelligent thing necessarily, but it does give some permission to brain dump and get thoughts out and be honest about what is really holding you back. For example, if you were to, there's an exercise called flip the script. I didn't make this up. It's just in the personal development space. But if you were to say, you know what, my goal is to always hire a coach, to always have a coach. Well, you might have an objection that shows up in your thought pattern that says, ooh, that's expensive. Okay, write that down. There's going to be part of you that probably doesn't want to write that down, because now you're acknowledging that that thought is there. But healing, it starts with acknowledging what is actually true if you're being honest. Shit, there's that belief. So now noticing that's maybe keeping you from hiring a coach all the time, because that belief is there and it's dictating your behaviors on some level. If we want to know what we believe, look at our results. It tells us everything we need to know about our belief system. So it's just a different way of coming at it for those that are just a little bit more cognitively inclined. But you can only go so deep with that, right? And that's where the somatic work comes in.
Right. Right. So how deep usually you go in with the somatic work?
The pace of the nervous system. That's as far as we can go. And that's individual because otherwise we risk re-traumatizing a nervous system that's too much, too soon, too fast.
Okay.
Yeah. So it has to be slow at first. A couple sessions in with a client, because I'll get questions all the time like, can I just do a session? And I'm like, that's not how I work. It's going to be a
Right.
disservice to you. You're just going to end up with a bunch of open loops. I'll barely get to know the edges of your nervous system, and we're going to stop before we begin, really. So it takes a good 2 to 3 sessions before we're starting to make some headway, or at least get to know some patterns and nuances there. And, women work with me anywhere from like 1 to 3 years because again, it can be slow work, but it will forever change you.
Yeah, it depends on their own involvement, growth, and so on.
Yeah. If someone can't feel something, well, we've got to start there. We can't force the feeling.
Right. It's a process.
Totally. Yep.
I
So it
love it.
really depends on the nervous system.
Yeah. So I know that you have a cool collection called Heal Your Shit.
Yes.
Can you share with us, how did you come about that?
Yeah. So my partner, Jake, and I,
Yeah.
we both are coaches in this space. He works with men, I work with women, and we often do these loops around our neighborhood. We get our steps in, interrupt the day, get out, get some sunshine on our face, vitamin
Yeah.
D, and we're out
Important.
on a walk. And I was like, babe, what do you think? I was thinking about we do these sweatshirts because he was saying cold plunge and coffee. We have this cabin out in California that we go
Okay.
to. And he was like, cold plunge and coffee. I go, ooh, that'd be a fun sweatshirt. He goes, I don't know. Like, do people know what we're talking about with that? And then I started coming up with some other ideas. And he goes, I think it's just too much expert language. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you think it should be? And he goes, I think it needs to say, heal your
Shit.
shit. And I was like, all right. So we put it on a sweatshirt and we launched Infinite Living Institute, which is our second company. And we have burning my limiting beliefs candles that are somatic aromatherapy candles. You can set an intention and burn the candle. We also have these sweatshirts that are unisex, so you can get matching his and hers, which we wear ours out around the neighborhood and people stop us like, where'd you get that shirt? And we're like, well, we created it. So it's always a fun conversation talker. But yeah, it's really fun. We have journals and it's just the beginning stages, but the sweatshirts are super cozy and it's been a fun project.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I would love one. I'll
Yes.
get on this side. I will get some because I think healing our own shit is so important. I think we carry so much burden on our shoulders that it's like, where do you start? It's like we have to start somewhere. All our journeys is so different. We're all on different timelines. We're all at different points in our lives. It's like you either do it or you don't do it. But I find that there's such a huge shift right now that people are looking for that. People are really trying to heal their stuff or heal themselves or heal whatever they have. So, yeah. Oh, that's so amazing.
It's fun. It's been a really, really fun passion project.
Yeah, that's cool. And do you have some retreats coming up that you'd like to share with the audience? Are you the guest speaker? Is there anything that's coming up for you?
Yeah, so March 22nd, we're hosting our first ever dinner event called the Champagne Club here in Atlanta. And that is for women that just feel like they've outgrown the tables that they have previously been sitting at, the circles that they were part of, and they're looking for a new tribe, their new, forever friends in a circle of women that are just doing some really cool shit. They're tired of dumbing down their success. They're tired of dimming their light. And they want to have conversations about money and ideas, not people and weather. So this is that room. This is that circle. We're half sold out already, which is amazing. And that'll
And
be
this
an
is for
in-person
women
dinner.
only, right? Or
Yep,
this is for
it's for
anybody? For
women
women
only.
only. Okay. Okay.
Yep. And so they'll fly into Atlanta. We'll do a really beautiful, luxurious dinner Friday evening. They have the opportunity to shoot with my brand photographer over the weekend. And then I have a couple one-on-one immersion spots. Actually, I only have one left now for a half-day VIP with me when they come in. So we're pretty excited about that. As far as retreats, we haven't pulled the trigger yet on one, but we are eyeing this house in Turks and Caicos for September. So, we can give you the link for people to sign up for our email list. And
Perfect.
that would be one of the best places for people to stay in the know around announcements and things coming up. Other than that, those are our two potential in-persons this year. The Champagne Club is definitely happening. The retreat is still a maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any final word you would like to share with the audience about yourself, about the business?
Yeah, I mean, it's not about me, right? I'm
Yes.
here to just be the activator for women that, if you feel like you're playing a little small, if you feel like you're not quite living out to your maximum potential, like the world needs you. We need your magic. We need people living in their light. We need you to shine brighter. And so, if your next step is somatic work, and if I'm your next coach, cool. If I'm not, it doesn't, it's okay. But we just need more women shining their light and really living out their purpose.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Thank you so much, Kerry, for sharing everything about you and about business and about women coming together. I also believe it's very important for us women to come together and share stories and uplift each other. So,
Mhm.
yeah. So thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Thank you.